You know that old phrase about the rain in Spain? Well, that was yesterday. Today, it's been fog that has rather played havoc with the plot, and qualifying has been delayed by just over an hour because the fog that came down this morning has been rather reluctant to move. Finally, though, we are in a position where the sun is bursting through and a nice blue sky is above most of the Circuit de Catalunya as we get set for the final qualifying session of the season in readiness for the final race, with championships on the line in pro, in gold, silver and bronze across the categories. And this 10-minute qualifying session may have been a long time coming, but it's going to be a crucial one to determine the grid, and in turn that's going to have a big bearing on the outcome of the championship. David Addison and John Watson trackside. We've been trackside for a while, Watty. Well, finally we can see the track.
Certainly can. I mean, the track is absolutely bathed in sun. I mean, it's beautiful, stunning. But 15 minutes ago, it was totally covered in fog. Right now, team is waiting in the pit lane. They've needed a few minutes to get their cars prepared because racing engines, you just don't turn the key and redline it. You've got to allow it to build up temperature. And then when they've reached the requested temperatures, then you can put the car out on track.
Yesterday's race was a weird one because so much of it, about 54 minutes, ended up behind the safety car. Initially there was an accident, then we had the long period to sort that out, then the rain came and people fell off behind the safety car in the rain, and it was just the perfect storm for race direction. The race was won by Maxi Goetz and Jules Gounon. Jules' first sprint victory and a second for Maxi Goetz, the first sprint win also for Boots and VDS, and they did it absolutely right by keeping Maxi Goetz out on slicks until the pit window opened and he was able to slither in and get the wet tyres on. This, though, is the circuit, John, nearly 5 kilometres long.
14 turns, and the circuit was revised a couple of years ago. The exit of 13 now is a straight run into 14, much better adaptation of the circuit. It's a circuit, of course, we know it's a low grip circuit, which contributed to the problems that people faced in the wet yesterday. Ambient temperatures building gradually, but track temperatures still on the lower side. So when teams go out for this 10-minute qualifying session, they're going to find the track slippery. Remember, all that rain that fell yesterday will have washed whatever rubber was placed down, albeit there was a GT2 race following our GT3 first of the two events this weekend. But there will not be a lot of rubber down on the track, and race tires like race rubber on the racetrack.
69, which is the Thierry Vermeulen and Giacomo Altway Ferrari out of the Emile Frey Racing Stable. Giacomo Altway will drive in this session. Only 10 minutes, so as ever, track position is going to be important, and not exceeding track limits, pretty crucial as well. Charles Weerts then led the championship yesterday, now is 6.5 points back coming into this, and knows that they need to get ahead of 48 Mercedes on the grid. Number 6, that is the Audi that leads in the Gold Cup, but only by half a point. Luca Engschler will drive in this session, and the opposition, Simon Gachet and Lucas Legeret. Simon Gachet will drive there, just half a point back within gold. Incredibly tight as you look at number 14 Ferrari, the other Emile Frey Racing entry, and that's Konsta Lapalainen for this session. And that's yesterday's winning car. Decided what tyres to put on.
Well, a great job done yesterday by Max Goetz when we were running behind the safety car in pretty much almost oceanic weather conditions. And everybody had more or less changed to a wet weather tyre, but he braved it out. And some would say that courage, that choice of tyre, contributed to this number 9 VDS, the Boutsen team, Mercedes taking the checkered flag. I mean, an effort, outstanding effort by Max Goetz, and under extremely challenging circumstances.
The results of yesterday's race remain provisional due to an appeal by a team, but number 25 Audi, you can see another car that's going to be competitive within the gold battle. That is Gilles Magnus and Paul Everard. Now, they are third of the 3 teams possibly to win gold. They're a bit further back, but mathematically can still do it, so don't rule them out. Right, well, the circuit now looking absolutely fantastic. A far cry from about an hour or so ago, as now, an hour and 10 minutes after the original start time, we are in business for Q2. And the teams have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and now the drivers go storming out. We've had quite a few course cars doing laps to partly assess the conditions and partly to try and help shift the air, but any remaining fog is soon going to dissipate now, as a wonderful field. 32 cars we have in the entry this weekend. One team yesterday had a very damaging accident to its Audi, that being Tresor Attempto Racing. Dylan Pereira was wiped out at turn 1. They were going to try and build a spare car overnight, so we'll see whether that has happened. The original car lies all rather forlornly in the Parc Fermé area.
Yes, we came past it this morning. It was a sad sight, one might say. But of course the team have had the benefit of having an extra 70 minutes, which wasn't in the schedule, to get that car, the 66 replacement Audi, assembled and ready to run. Hopefully it will be out in this 10-minute qualifying session.
So other teams just lagging back a little bit, possibly to get some clear track space. It's the age-old problem. You want to be on your own so you don't get held up by anybody. So some will be, like Charles Wirtz BMW, first in the queue. They tried that yesterday, actually, WRT, but went a bit early, so they were held. They had to fall back in the queue because they were on the fast lane before they were entitled to be. Today they've got it right, and Charles Wirtz then looking for clear track space. Others lag back in the pit lane, let everybody else go by half a lap or so, and then go, and hopefully that way you've got clear track space. This is Charles Wirtz's view.
Yes, and as we saw in yesterday's qualifying session, new tyres and your first flying lap, assuming you've got reasonable temperature, ought to be the best lap time you're going to generate. But because of the circumstances of the track changing with all that rain yesterday and being effectively a green track, maybe the second flying lap will be the one. But it's all again about managing the traffic. For Charles Wirtz, he's got a clear road ahead of him. But there will be other cars that will be coming out doing an out lap, maybe not up to race speed, and he doesn't want to come across anybody who may not be aware.
Let's do a lap with him on board. Coming out of turn 3.
Yeah, so turn 3, real tire killer for the left front. Then straighten the car up. Coming down into turn 4, you get your braking done. Turn 4, another longish corner. Variety of options and lines that drivers, that's the later line, for example, Charles Wirtz has taken. And then back across to the right-hand side of the track. This downhill off camber turn 5 is always a frustration for drivers and easy to run wide, as you see Charles Wirtz doing there on the exit. Turn 6, it's just a curve, you don't really turn the wheel at all. Then a brake and back down the gears, then into 7. Easy to run too wide in the exit. That compromises then the turn through 8, then the climb up the hill to the magnificent turn 9. Is it flat? Well, we aren't on board with him to find that out. Back now to the Challenger, the 48. The Winward Racing Mercedes-Benz, and that's going to be Maro Engel behind the wheel, so he's got a personal best. In fact, all 3 names on screen have got personal best. Down into turn 10 for the Mercedes, and Maro Engel gone purple, so he is the first driver we're seeing with a purple sector time. And Maro Engel is, what, 2/3 of the way through his lap. We're now following Costa Lapalainen and in the Emile Frey Ferrari.
This is Charles Wirtz, and he's still pushing on as well. He's going to haul the BMW up towards the front. The best lap time so far has been a 2:17, but that's going to be obliterated as Charles Wirtz comes over the timing line and goes fastest now on a 1:41.1. What about Maro Engel? He goes quicker still. Engel into the 1:40s. Yesterday's pole time from Patrick Kuila in the Barwell Bronze Cup Lamborghini was into the 1:39s. That's the target. Altway now goes quickest of all. The fact that I mentioned Andre Mukavol's name suggests correctly that Trezor Attempto have built up the spare number 66 Audi overnight, and it's on track as you look there at number 96 Porsche Patrick Niederhauser, and this looks like a good lap, John.
It's a very good lap in Sector 1, the personal best in Sector 2, but look, Simon Gachet in the Audi, I mean, he's got a personal best in Sector 1, fastest overall by margin in Sector 2. So literally it's about clear track, but getting your tyre temperature up to speed. Gachet comes across the line now, goes quickest, and a 1:40.282.
So we're knocking on the door of a 1:39 lap like we had yesterday. What can Patrick Niederhauser do in the Porsche? He comes across the line, he's in the 39s, 1:39.847. Patrick Niederhauser with 2 absolute bests to bookend the lap. That was quite something.
Yeah, stunning lap from Niederhauser. And the Porsche, I mean, has been performing here well this weekend, but to have a front row start grid would be absolutely ideal. And hopefully it will be a dry race. At the minute, the weather forecast for this afternoon is nothing less than stunning.
Yeah, they've had a tough season, haven't they, the Rotronic Racing team? They've been stalwarts of both championships, one on the road at Manicourt, but copped a penalty. So the celebrations overnight were curtailed in the morning. They've therefore still got to try and take that maiden victory. Niederhauser quickest by 0.133 of a second from Mathieu Drudy, last year's Sprint Cup champion. And the Aston Martin, the Spa 24-hour winner, he is 0.133 back. Then Cesar Gazot in number 10, Boots and Mercedes. Gachet is 4th. And Tom Fleming, number 71 Ferrari, the quick Brit. Tom Fleming is 5th fastest.
Good effort by Tom Fleming, indeed. And here we've got Cesar Gazot, who again did an excellent job in the number 10, Boots and VDS Mercedes. So currently 3rd quickest. And Simon Gachet is 4th, looking to see where Maro Engel presently 9th. More critically, in 13th place is the 32 Charles Wirtz WRT Audi. So that's a car that will be looking for time Weerts is still out on track. His last lap was 141.544, which is nowhere near quick enough.
That's yesterday's joint winner, Maxi Goetz. Max Goetz looking on. Jules Gounon does driving duties in this session. On board now with 93. Last lap of yesterday's race, the car was bumped off the road. Jonathan Hui was given a tap by Dustin Blattner, put him into the gravel. Blattner got a penalty, but it took the Sky Tempesta Racing team out, really, of the Bronze Cup title fight. But Jonathan Hui, the Hong Kong driver, still pressing on, and the Ferrari accelerating its way then now down towards turn 10. Hard on the brakes. It's quite a long hairpin, this long left-hander.
Yeah, it's a frustrating corner because in effect it's two corners. What is 10 becomes 11, then you've got this cut back quickly to the long, again, that's a right-hand corner, puts a big load on that left front. The idea is to try and keep the front of the car within the track limits, then through 13, then the run down to 14, and before you know it, you're coming across start-finish line with the completion of another lap.
Let's just see what that lap is from the Ferrari. Personal best being posted by Jonathan Hui, goes up to 20th then. That puts him ahead of Gabriel Rindoni, of Darren Lung, of James Jakes and Andre Mukavel. Still quite a few that haven't done a time, either because they've done a series of installation laps or that they've lost a time because of track limit offences. Miguel Ramos here in number 188, the Garage 59 run McLaren. Yesterday's bronze pole was Patrick Cuellar, but of course it's different drivers in this session. So the cars, certainly in the classes, with a different feel. It's a bit less obvious in Pro because you've got two manufacturer drivers, but in certainly bronze, where you've got very much a Pro-Am format to it, the car's differing paces with who's behind the wheel. Ramos, though, is a very quick Am. He's a sort of Am Plus. Many a Title 1. 66 Audi, the rebuilt car of Andre Mukavel's, or the built-up spare car of Mukavel's, has gone very slowly past the pits, keeping out of everybody's way. And Miguel Ramos here comes towards the end of the lap. The McLaren, great-looking car, but it's been a tough season for Garage 59.
Well, I think the car has got the potential, it's got the performance, but Miguel Ramos is one of those drivers, very quiet, very quietly spoken, flies under the radar all the time, and all of a sudden there's a performance. Where did that come from? But he's got personal best, sectors 1 and sectors 2, so that's a performance. Hopefully that car currently hasn't really recorded a lap time, so this is going to be the first, but getting stacked up behind two further cars, and will this have a bearing on what Miguel Ramos can ultimately achieve? Well, undoubtedly, well, he can continue with personal best in sector 1, runs quite wide on the exit of turn 14, but keeps it basically within, so he gets a 18th position, personal best, obviously on his first flying lap.
And he's got one more lap in the session, but we are now less than a lap time away from the checkered flag. Niederhauser still the quickest. Here, up towards the line, comes 99 Audi of Alex Arca to go 11th fastest. And Mauro Engel in number 48 Mercedes, then he's lighting up timing screens by doing absolute best. So there he is. Trouble is, he's in traffic now, John.
Yes. And Tom Gamble, by the way, just in sector 1 has gone quickest overall in the McLaren, but that's disappointing for Mauro Engel. He thought he was going to get given track space he has now, but it has compromised his entry into turn 10, and obviously then coming out of 10 through 11 and back up to 12 where he is in clear air, he can pick up the pace that he was running at, but that little moment coming into 10 has cost time. So Mauro Engel, currently in 9th position, wants to place his 48 man filter Mercedes clearly as near to the front as possible, because the principal challenger Charles Weerts is only 15th quickest.
30 is then Mauro Engel over the line. There's a point for pole, but it ain't going to go his way at the moment, so that won't affect the championship battle. 109 for Auer and Engel, and 102.5 Weerts and Vanthor coming into today's race. Looks as though, with the exception of Cesar Gazzo, most people have got the best out of their tyres, although Gazzo's done an absolute best in sector 1, and Jules Gounon is making a liar out of me by doing an absolute best in sector 2. This is Tom Gamble, McLaren factory driver, who we know is very rapid. Benjamin Goethe, his co-driver. They make a good combination, and Gamble goes second. Mega job. We're not done yet. Gazzo hangs it out of turn 14 up the curb, comes up towards the timing line and goes quickest. Jules Gounon goes on the top of the times, then number 9 Mercedes goes fastest. So Jules Gounon absolutely on the ragged edge coming out of turn 14. 0.127 of a second quickest. He is. Gazzo's behind him on the track, in fact, and is a little bit more circumspect coming out of turn 14, and he's down in sectors 2 and 3. But Jules Gounon then takes the flag, takes pole, takes a point.
That was dirt tracking taken to a new level coming out of turn 14. I thought he's never going to get that car back, but he managed to keep the car going straight, which enabled him to get back on to the circuit. Been hard on mouth moment, but what a great lap, 139.681 on a racetrack which is still driving itself back up to the level that it will eventually get to by the time this race gets underway at 2 p.m. here local time.
Matthew Drudy still pressing on, but he's down in the middle sector, and Patrick Niederhauser goes back to the top. Now, why is that? Has he gone faster on his last lap? He has. He's done a 1:39.681. So Jules Gounon's pole position has not lasted long. I'm checking to see that he's not had the lap taken off him. He's not. So Niederhauser has been able to respond by 39 thousandths of a second. So Patrick Niederhauser back at the top of the times then in number 96 Porsche.
Well, for Gounon, he may be made disappointed, but still be on the front row of the grid, as there is the car that has taken provisional pole. The checkered flag has come out. Great effort indeed by the Electronic Porsche team and by Patrick Niederhauser. Superb effort, and you can't keep a good old brand down. Over 60 years this car's been in production, and it's still capable of getting pole positions and arguably winning races.
Second yesterday in the limited running that we had of race one of the weekend. Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser, they deserve a win. They've come so close. They've had an up and down sort of a season, and Patrick Niederhauser, after a few years of being in the doldrums a bit, was picked up by Santalok and was a race winner, remember, at Hockenheim 2 years ago. But Patrick Niederhauser is, I think, still better than people give him credit for. And with Sven Muller, they've had a good combination this year when that Porsche has allowed them to shine.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time earlier in the season for them to find you might say, the perfect setup to get the car to the level where both drivers could say, we've got a car that's capable of winning races, certainly getting pole position. And that's the situation the team is within right now.
I think I'm right in saying that's Patrick Niederhauser's first Sprint Cup pole position. It will certainly be a great effort recorded by Retronic Racing as well, and they go into the race looking a lot more confident. So Patrick Niederhauser fastest by 39 thousandths of a second from Jules Gounon. Third, Tom Gamble, and he in turn was 4 thousandths quicker than Mathieu Drudy. Simon Gachet fifth, quickest in gold, ahead of Mauro Engel. Carol Basch seventh, quickest in silver, ahead of Cesar Gazot, then Luca Engschler and Tom Fleming 10th. You have to go quite a long way down to find the driver that was fastest within bronze. You've also got to go down to 15th before you find Charles Weerts, who is, of course, the other driver with co-driver Dries Van Voor, fighting 48 Mercedes for the title. And the best of those in bronze, Dustin Blattner, ahead of Rob Collard, this year's British GT champion, and Miguel Ramos third for Garage 59. So, Patrick Niederhauser takes the Rover Pole Position Award. Good session for Retronic, because of course it's the same team that operates Dustin Blattner's car. So 2 pole positions recorded by the one team in that session. Let's see whether they can translate that into race winning pace later on in the day. But it's a delighted Patrick Niederhauser who's out of the car. And there, the Rover Motor Oil Pole Position Award ceremony will begin very shortly. Photographers are there, the team are there to celebrate with him. And Patrick Niederhauser giving the one-fingered salute for the cameras and appreciative of the Porsche. Right, job done, great effort. 39,000 shows how close it is, and you've got the leading 14 covered by just under a second. Not bad, eh?
I think it's a pretty good effort all around because of circumstances. An hour, 10 minutes late getting this qualifying session underway with all the rain that fell yesterday. The track washed clean, and now the track temperature's a lot cooler than maybe teams would have preferred. Just to get that window, that tire temperature pressure window precisely correct, then you can get on and do your job, but sometimes finding that is not easy.
So well done, Patrick Niederhauser, and the Retronic Racing team, overseen by Klaus Graf, former racer himself. And there is the Rover Pole Position Award presented to Patrick Niederhauser. And we can hear his thoughts on that lap as well. He had pole, he lost it, he got it back as he took the checkered flag. Antonio Rankin is there to have a word.
Patrick, we've seen this pace from you all season. What an exceptional way to end it.
Yeah, maybe not the whole season. Yeah, we didn't have the smoothest start into the year. Struggled a bit at the beginning, but yeah, I think we made really good progress, and today is just the cherry of the cake. I think we started a bit too late to perform like that, but still super happy. The car was a rocket today, and yeah, obviously the big job still ahead in the race, but super happy with the pole.
You seem to really have that one lap pace. Will it translate in the race later on?
I hope so, but I also think so that we had a good Friday testing on the old tires. Obviously here Barcelona, I think it's super difficult for everyone to super hard on the tires. So yeah, let's see. The race is going to be interesting, but yeah, we showed already yesterday in difficult conditions we can be there. Team did a great pit stop yesterday, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Have fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, Patrick Niederhauser. Really impressive job, that. And so Patrick Niederhauser taking that pole position. And as you say, John, it's a good old brand, Porsche, but Rotronic have worked hard this year. They deserve a bit of success.
Yes, I mean, they did have that success in Manucourt. It was a very welcome victory. And then because there was a technical issue in terms of, an error somewhere in the pit lane, then I think it was an early release or a non-safe release was the actual issue. And that then gave them penalty, and they had to forgo their maiden sprint cup victory. But anyway, great effort by Rotronic and by Patrick Niederhauser.
Quick look at the highlights of that session with Charles Weerts pushing on early doors. Amaro Engel was very, very rapid on his first proper flying lap, trying to take the point for pole. Also looking quick was the number 111 Audi as Simon Gachet hustled that up towards the timing line. Cesar Gazzo was good in silver, ultimately though not quite able to get himself up onto the top of the times. Mathieu Drudy was on target at one stage to be second in the times, but it was Jules Gounon that would be second fastest in the end. Tom Gamble went third in the McLaren 159. Gounon then, with a really wild exit from the last corner, went fastest, but Patrick Niederhauser was able to respond and put the Porsche onto pole position. The championship showdown gets underway at 2 p.m. local time. Join us later on for all the action.